What is up, everybody? I am going to start doing some kind of experiments. I guess that's what you can call them. Basically, I've got an aquarium, small little tank, filled it with water, and I just want to start seeing how baits are presented in the water, especially with carp fishing. There's a lot of variables at play with when you're carp fishing. Different baits, how they present themselves, fishing line, the hooks, the weight of the hook, the weight of your swivel, your method feeder, all those things are factors. And so what I'm mostly curious about is the hair rig. And so what I put on the hair. There's so many different things you can use. Um, Mostly I use corn, and then I have tiger nuts that I boil and make. But I've also got some pop-up corn from Korda, um, slow sinking corn from Korda, and then this pack is, sorry, that light is so bright, is just off Amazon. I think I bought like 1,000 pieces of the fake corn, and it was like 20 bags of this. So really cheap. It works. I've caught carp with it, and so I know it works, and it's durable. It's a good soft plastic. So at any rate, what we've got here is I've just got, again, the aquarium filled up about halfway of water. I've got some 30-pound braid from Cast King, 15-pound fluoro. I got some scissors. We're going to use these method feeders. Those are off Amazon. We got our bait needle. We're going to do size 4 wide gape hooks, slow sinking, pop up, and then this cheap Amazon fake corn. And so that's what we're going to look at in this video. I want to see the fall rate as it goes into the aquarium or into the water. And then I want to see adjustments that we can make, whether that's putting a split shot or some tungsten putty on the line, 2 inches, 3 inches out, maybe right at the near the eye of the hook. There's just a lot of things we can do to play with. I'll probably grab some of the tiger nuts that I have. They're in the fridge right now, just in a little plastic cup. So I'll probably grab those and also add that into this little experiment. But I just want to see how they fall, see what kind of adjustments we can do. I'm not worried about the feeder or anything, but I'm gonna tie it on and then just kind of sit it in the water. And I'm not dropping it because I don't want it to obviously damage the glass here. But mostly curious about just how that fall rate is and what the bait is like when it's presented in the water. So without any further ado, I am going to tie up some rigs, and then we're going to get started here. So let's do that. All right, so now we've got our 2 rigs tied up. Same method feeder. These are on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. 15-pound fluoro, down to a size 4 wide gape Korda hook. Oh, there you go. A little better view. And then the cheap plastic rubber corn that you can get on Amazon. So again, this is 30-pound braid, same hook, same corn. 30-pound braid, Cast King, 15-pound fluoro from Cast King. So that's our 2 lines, and this is going to be the first test. So I'm just going to take that. I don't really want to drop it too hard. Okay. So I'm not so much worried about the fall rate on this. Well, definitely got to make sure it is not tangled too much so we can see what's going on. All right. And right away, there's 2 distinct differences in what's going on here. So let me get a little bit closer, try to get the reflection not to be so bad, but this is the fluoro. I mean, you can kind of see it there. So with the fluorocarbon, since fluoro sinks, you can see that that corn is sitting on the bottom. And then here's something you notice about the braided line. That corn is floating above the surface. Now the hook is heavy enough that it is sinking it. I have no idea what kind of reaction is happening to this method feeder to cause it to have some kind of reaction. That is crazy. What is that? I don't know if that's like it's oxidizing or something. I'm not really sure, but hopefully you can see that the like cloud of, it's not smoke, but there's some kind of reaction happening that's causing it to do that. So at any rate, you can see here the braid. Let's see if I'm above, but you can see that reaction occurring, whatever's happening there. But you can see the, try to get this angle a little bit better. This one's sitting on the bottom with the fluorocarbon. The braid is floating off the bottom. All right, so that's good to know. So if you need it to sit on the bottom, fluorocarbon's probably a better option since it sinks, whereas the braid's floating. Now I'm going to try, let's move to the pop-up corn. Actually, you know what? Let's move to this pop-up corn from Korda instead of the cheap Amazon corn and see what happens. This will be my first time using the pop-up corn from Korda. Never even opened this. It's definitely, the pop-up is definitely more of a plasticky feel versus the soft plastic rubber. I don't even know if it's going to work. Let's see. We're going to put it in the same orientation that we did for the first test. All right. Let's go ahead and, well, my fingers will work. All right, sliding it on down. Again, I'm not so much worried about, the extras with the bait stops and stuff. That's not really going to make much of a difference here. All right, let's get one more piece of the, pop-up corn. Curious to see how much, or if this can even make a difference with the braid. Okay. Pull that back up just a tiny bit. Okay. So there we go. All right. Make sure you can see that good. Feeders, fluoro, braid, same bait. Korda Pop Up Corn. All right. Let's drop them in the water and see what we get here. See if it can float with fluoro. That's interesting. Let's move this line out of the way. Straighten it up a little bit. Okay. Well, there's the results. You can see that one's popping and floating really good compared to, let's slide this out of the way. It's in the frame. I don't want it to be misconstrued here in the view. So there you go. That fluorocarbon is still sinking even with the Korda Pop Up Corn. So that tells me that we're not going to be able to get anything to float, except unless we put actual something, maybe a floating boilie. But today I just wanted to test the 3 corn option. So all right, there's test 2, 15-pound fluorocarbon with the Korda Pop Up Corn, 30-pound braid with the pop up corn, and it is floating above the hook. All right, let's we'll switch it out. Next test we're going to run is the Korda slow sinking corn. So I'm going to switch out the corn and then we'll drop them in. All right, get that out of the way. All right, slow sinking corn from Korda. Let's see what we got here. Well, it is nice. It comes with those bait stops, but again, that's not part of what we're worried about here today. So, all right. So there we got 2 pieces out. Bait stop back in. All right. Let's thread this again. This one is more rubbery right away. The other one's a lot more plastic, which I guess adds to the buoyancy. All right. Let's slide that back up the hair just a tad. Equal where it was. All right. We'll thread the other one on the fluoro. Okay. All right. So there we go. We got them both on there. Braid, fluoro, slow sinking, Korda corn. All right. Let's see what happens here. We drop these into the tank. We'll start with the braid. And then drop the fluorocarbon over here. Okay. Well, I was expecting the slow sinking corn to eventually kind of drop. Over here with the fluorocarbon, I mean, obviously it did because the fluorocarbon sinks a little bit better. And you can see here, if you look at the braid, it's floating. The only thing pinning it down is that hook in the feeder. And then there you go. So even with the slow sinking corn on braid, it's still going to float because the braid. Whereas the fluorocarbon, it's going to sit at the bottom. So that is telling me that regardless if you use slow sinking or the pop-up or the cheap Amazon corn, with braid, you're going to get that buoyancy and it's going to float because of the braid compared to the fluorocarbon. Now, something they do a lot in Europe is they use lead line, lead core braid. So it's got lead in the center of it, and obviously that's going to weigh it down. So that braid would actually maybe sink a little bit better. But I don't typically fool with it. I usually go straight fluorocarbon. So that's interesting. So now I know all my corn is sitting pretty much pinned to the bottom. Well, that was, I wouldn't say interesting. I would say I'm not that surprised by the results just based on the line that we used. You know, standard braid. I think it's 8 strand. Pretty sure this brand, the Cast King D-Stron or Destron, whatever you want to call it, is an 8 strand braid. So with that said, not surprised. Maybe a little bit more surprised that the slow sinking corn from Korda did not sink even on the braid. I thought, because the material is a little bit different, you can kind of feel that it's different. So that was interesting. But yeah, so pop-up corn or the slow sinking, if you're on standard braid, it's going to float. Same result with the cheap fake corn from Amazon. You get like 1,000 of these. I don't know, it's like $10. So I am going to remember that, and I'll probably start using, I'll probably split my rods. I like to go out with 4 carp rods at all time. And I'll probably split them based on what I'm seeing here is I'm probably going to start running 2 with mono, 2 with straight braid. And then my leaders, I'm going to start, I've mainly been using fluorocarbon. So I'm probably going to stick to, 2 liters fluorocarbon. And then I'll just run straight braid to the other ones that are already braided. So yeah, I mean, there's a swivel involved, so there's a little connection there. But yeah, I'm not too surprised. But hopefully, this guy this shows you something that you can take away. Is that if you're using fluorocarbon, since it sinks, yeah, it looks like it's going to sink. I mean, even with a very, very good, that light is just a little too bright. I'm sorry. There it is. The Korda Pop Up Corn. Even with a very, very good bait for your hair rig that should float with fluorocarbon and a decent hook with some weight to it, it's probably going to sink. So just something to kind of remember. I might, I'll probably run these a bit more, and we'll get into something like, I may get some lead core braid and run the test again one day and do all three: lead core, braid, fluorocarbon. And not that worried about adding mono in the mix. You're not going to see much difference there. But yeah, I'm going to switch them up. I'm going to start using 2 braid leaders and 2 fluorocarbon leaders, and see what kind of difference that makes. I'm a little curious because there are some spots I fish where I think it would be beneficial to have that floating bait, and right now I'm not getting it. So because I've been just using fluorocarbon and my stuff is sitting on the bottom. So that is interesting, and I learned something from this. So hopefully that helps you guys out. If you ever start trying to carp fish, tie the hair rigs, there's a lot to it. It can get super complicated. I'm trying to keep it very simple. I don't have time to learn all the different rigs that they use over in Europe. There's a chod rig, a zig rig, blowback rigs, a hair rig. I mean, there's a bunch, just the same as bass fishing or cat fishing. I mean, there's a 1,000 ways people fish, and so I'm keeping it simple. I think the hair rig's very simple. It's effective. Been catching fish on it, so I'm going to keep doing it. But again, I'm going to keep it simple. I'll probably start doing a little bit more of these like experimental type things. I want to test different pack baits and stuff like that. But at any rate, I'm going to close this one out. Thank you guys for watching. Hope this helps. Maybe you can learn to choose if you want to go fluorocarbon or braid with your leaders there if you're carp fishing, or any fishing. That this applies to a lot of different types of fishing. And so, at any rate, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Appreciate it.